What's up, guys? We are going to do a 7-round Titans mock draft right here using the PFF mock draft simulator. Going to kick up the randomness one notch just to see some more interesting mock drafts. Not really considering trading up here, not going to trade up for a quarterback. So I think we can go ahead and start the draft and see how this plays out. Ahmad Gardner going 2 to the Lions. So Charles Cross is off the board. Trevor Penning's off the board. Treylon Burks is off the board. Burks is a guy that I've been warming up to a little bit in terms of spinning a back end of the first round pick on him. Let's look at the positions that we would be considering here. So quarterback, receiver, offensive tackle. That's ideally what I would like. We could get a good guard prospect, but these are just a little bit more valuable positions. So Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, Sam Howell. I have higher grades on Howell and Corral than I do Ridder, but I would imagine that the Titans have a bit higher grade on Ridder than I do. Bernard Raymond, I'm not a huge fan of. Really like Sky Moore, and George Pickens is someone else that could be in play here. Let's see what the trade option is. Trade with the Texans. Let's see, 26 for 37 and 68. Offer that. All right, so trade back. Hopefully one of those receivers is still there. Sam Howell's falling. I'm just gonna take George Pickens here at 37. I think very crisp route runner, just makes violent cuts, excellent ball skills. Just kind of a guy that there's limited tape on because he's been so banged up throughout his career. But I just think he's such a talented. He's a first round talent that's probably got a good chance to fall out of the first round, but I'm gonna go George Pickens. Feel pretty good about lining him up opposite of AJ Brown. Can play X receiver, I think. All right, so pick 68 that we got from the Houston trade. Definitely want to look at offensive tackle. Want to look at interior offensive line. Could start to look at tight end here, although I think I really like the 4th round for tight end. And let's also look at corner, which is, I think, a sneaky need. So Dylan Parham, he's a guy that I'm a huge fan of. I think I've got him ranked in the 40s, but I think he can come in, play left guard, hit the ground running. My kind of philosophy with how I would be approaching the offensive line if I were the Titans is that I wouldn't be making any decisions based off of Dylan Radins, because just from what he's shown up to this point, I don't think he's someone that you need to be crafting your plans around as this future of the offensive line. That's not to say that he's like a finished product or anything. I mean, he still has room to develop and could turn into a good player. But yeah, Dylan Parham, a guy that I like. Cole Strange, have not had access to any Chattanooga film, but I've heard people that say he's like a good fit for a zone scheme like the Titans. Zach Tom is my guy. I could see them being a little bit lower on him. Looks like most of the tight ends are still there. I'm just going to go Dylan Parham here. I think it's a really safe pick. And he's got some pretty good tape at right tackle in 2020 as well. All right, round 3, pick 90. This is where I'm going to start to look at tight end, and I'm going to go with Cade Otton, who is, to me, one of the few true Y tight ends in this entire class. He's one of the best route runners at the tight end position. Very physical blocker, has some issues in terms of hand placement and pad level as a blocker that needs to clean up, but I like him a lot more than the other options that were available. We're sitting at pick 131 in round 4. We've gotten, PFF needs to add something where you can see who you've picked, but we traded out of the first. We've got George Pickens, Dylan Parham, Cade Otton. What I've been doing in my mocks is taking 2 swings at the offensive line in this 4th round range. It looks like Zach Tom is off the board, so I'm gonna have to pick someone besides him in a mock. But let's look at corner here. I like a Caleb Evans, maybe a little bit later in the draft. But I think what I'm actually gonna do is double up at receiver and take Bo Melton out of Rutgers. He's a guy that I got around to watching kind of late. He was one of the final guys that I evaluated, so I don't have a write-up for him in my draft guide yet, but he was a really highly recruited guy out of high school, productive at all 3 levels of the field, really good athlete, had a good combine performance. So he's kind of my mid-round guy. Him and Danny Gray are my mid to late round receivers that I really like. 143, last pick of the 4th round here. Kyron Williams is someone that's just kind of a ready-made 3rd down back. My comp for him is James White, really good pass protector, really reliable hands. So that's somebody that I could see them looking at. Now that I'm looking around at the options though, I don't think there's anybody that I have a higher grade on than Kyron Williams. So I'm just gonna go Kyron Williams back into the 4th round. Should come in and be an early contributor. All right, 169. Now I think I definitely want to get a corner, and unfortunately, a Caleb Evans, my guy, is not there. But we look at Damari Mathis, 282. I think we could probably come back and try to get him at 204. Let's grab Chig Okonkwo out of Maryland. He's kind of like this, not really a tight end. He's like a H-back, move tight end sort of hybrid guy. They use him a lot on like split zone at Maryland, which Tennessee runs pretty frequently. He's an undersized guy, but a lot more tenacious of a blocker than you would expect, and then ran a really good 40 time. So yeah, I think that could just be another kind of interesting weapon for the Titans. Doesn't really overlap with the guys that they brought in already in Cade Otton and Austin Hooper. All right, pick 204. Can't wait on corner anymore. Let's grab Damari Mathis, a physical press man corner. He was in my top 10 sleepers video. Can't remember what I called it, but like 43.5-inch vert, ran a really good 40 time as well. But he's a little bit grabby down the field, heavily penalized. So definitely just kind of a dart throw here, but in the 6th round, that's pretty much what you're getting. At 219, I'm sort of just scrolling through here to see if there's anybody that I like. Doug Kramer, he's another guy that made my sleepers video, but we can see if there's anyone else. Kalon Barnes, if we had missed on Damari Mathis, that could be an interesting guy. Probably not looking at tight end. Oh, that's what we're going to do. We're going to grab Joshua Azudu out of UNC, probably the guy that I'm highest on relative to consensus. I just think that he has a really good chance to develop into a good NFL player. So this is our final draft. The trade back out of the 1st round, George Pickens and Bo Melton are going to be our new receivers. We got Cade Otton to kind of bolster what we had in the works with Austin Hooper, Dylan Parham on the offensive line, Joshua Azudu, more of a developmental piece, Kyron Williams as a 3rd down back, Chig Okonkwo as sort of an offensive weapon, and then Damari Mathis for some cornerback depth. Just wanted to do this in one take. Obviously, there are some guys that I was hoping would fall to me, but that's not always how it works out. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter and check out my Patreon if you want access to more content.